It's now my privilege and great pleasure to present the Larry Foster Award for Integrity in Public Communication to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, a multiple Emmy award-winning journalist and chief medical correspondent for CNN. For more than 2 decades, Dr. Gupta has played an integral role in CNN's reporting on health and medical news. You certainly are a model for others to follow and endorse. Congratulations on this achievement.
The words I would use to describe Sanjay are brilliant, talented, compassionate, kind, and sweet. He's a sweet guy.
He is wicked smart. He is full of integrity. He's a kind and decent person. And he's somebody who doesn't just have a huge storehouse of medical knowledge. He's somebody who wants to go out into the field and meet with people and see medicine and sort of inform people about medical issues on the front lines of where things are happening.
He's just a beacon of standing up for facts and truth and helping people. That's why he went into both medicine and broadcasting.
There's so much misinformation out there today, and there's so much just sort of people giving their opinions. It's so important to have facts and real information and people who know what they're talking about. I go to Sanjay for personal health information. If I have a question, he's somebody I can call up. And that's what viewers get from Sanjay. I think if you hear something from Sanjay Gupta, it's something I trust.
He's just a shining example of the very best, very top of his craft. There is no one I would rather have as a chief medical correspondent for CNN than Sanjay. He is irreplaceable.
Congratulations on this, Sanjay, and this achievement.
Thank you. I don't think anyone who's probably received this award, especially from this center with that name on it, feels worthy, but I am honored and I'm humbled. And if I may say a few words, Bill, because I've thought about this a lot, I'm convinced, I think, more than ever about the importance of an organization like this. I think not only what it accomplishes, but what it represents. When I was told that I was going to get this award, I really sat down and started to make some notes and started to create some thoughts about this particular award and how important these conversations are, especially in the face of what I think is an ongoing objective assault on science. There's an assault on science. There's an assault on scientists and the institutions of knowledge that I think produce both. I'm not referencing skepticism or legitimate debate, which I think you would agree. I think everyone agrees those things can make us better and more finely tuned, but rather deliberate misinformation, which is happening and can travel fast and do more harm even than, for example, a virus can. It's dangerous, it's deadly, and I think it can represent this de-evolution of our progress. So addressing it is really important. So I made a list just quickly, Bill, of 5 things that I think are really important when it comes to communicating. If I can share this with humility. The first one is to be humble. I think over the past few decades, scientists have been increasingly perceived as arrogant. And I'm saddened by that. I think Larry Foster demonstrated humility and used it to his advantage, a willingness to admit what we know and what we don't know, and to be really transparent about that. Spend time learning to communicate the message in a way that people really understand. It's not easy to do. It takes actually a lot of work to be concise and to be clear. 3 is to read everything. There's a lot of noise out there. I get it. But I really think it's important to be as informed as you can be and not fall into the trap of living in some sort of self-imposed bubble. 4, recognize that sometimes things are truly novel. They are new. They don't fit neatly into a known pattern. Humans, especially adults, they're not very good at dealing with things that are novel. I mean, when is the last time you experienced something for the first time? we're seized by this desire to put things in a context that we better understand. You have to get comfortable with things just being novel. And finally, lean into uncertainty. People expect public health and medicine to be like math. 2 + 2 always equals 4. But there's an uncertainty to it. You got to embrace that. Most people think science is about proof. Science is about likelihood given the evidence. And Bill, I got to tell you, we think about this all the time, whether it's a 2-minute segment on television or a long documentary. These principles, I think, go a long way for us, Bill.
Yeah. When you're talking about, trying to convince the public about the truth, it's important to consider people like you who have a great record, but also how does CDC fit in this, and how is the FDA doing? And are we? My feeling is that both those organizations need a bit more public attention and understanding of all the resource that is a part of their organization.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely true. I think one of the things about the CDC is that over the last few years now, you saw this sort of commingling of science and politics. If you go back to Ebola, which you referenced, or even H1N1,
Right.
you would have a CDC director that would get up in front of the CDC and basically say, hey, look, behind me, we have 4,000 or so scientists, some of the best scientists in the world who are doing their work. And here are the questions we're trying to answer. At this point, here's what we know and what we don't know. I think, just the optics of doing scientific briefings from the White House, from a political organization, which, last 2 administrations have done, I think serves to even further commingle science and politics. So I think, it's challenging. I don't want to suggest, I don't want to minimize that aspect of it. And you can't disentangle anything from politics nowadays. But I think to, as we've seen in the past, continue to present scientific information from that place with that sort of tone, I think does go a long way.
I think, again, in connection with this, effort to rebuild trust in our society, you and Mark Kodash, who I've known for quite some time, are creating a new conference called Life Itself, which is similar to a TED conference or a TED Med created by Richard Saul Wurman. And Mark owned TED Med for a while and did a terrific job. And then Jay Walker bought it, and it's now going on. And I think Life Itself, the way I've thought about this, it could be a perfect generation point for messages to encourage people to trust what they're hearing, and also to learn how to gain enough information to determine what they can trust, what they can believe. It's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, that was definitely the inspiration for it. I think as well, when we look at science and public health, the idea of how you really celebrate this and present it in engaging ways. If you look at a lot of media, sports media, for example, or fashion media, there's these stories that they tell as part of the narrative of whatever content they're providing. Science and public health, I feel, has maybe for good reason, has always been felt more sterile, less accessible, maybe less engaging. When I talk to scientists and we do these long interviews and have these far-reaching conversations, there are incredible stories to tell. So we wanted to really put scientists on a stage like this, allow them to present their remarkable science in very engaging ways, and let the audience really get to know them. Do you know, Bill, that 80% of people cannot name a single living scientist?
Yeah.
80% of citizens cannot name a single living scientist. We want to change that. And I think if scientists get out of their bubble, people start to interact more with scientists, I think that goes a long way towards trust as well.
And sort of in that direction is understanding your stance on the idea of artificial intelligence uh, and what a big factor that is becoming now in planning and direction, and how we can get people to trust it.
I feel like we're definitely going through a very, very significant transformation. I
Yeah.
can tell you as a physician, it's already happening in many ways that patients may not even fully recognize. I mean, uh, appointments are getting booked this way. Insurance claims are being filed using artificial intelligence. Every image in our hospital, whether it be a chest X-ray or an MRI of the brain, is read by a artificial intelligence platform first, even before a human. I think the real thing, and this is probably a whole long discussion, there'll be lots of books written about this. I think the thing that I would say that I've learned is a reminder really that artificial intelligence is not a computer. People often think of it as a supercomputer, just Google, on steroids. That's not what it is. What it's trying to do is replicate human consciousness. So there are many things that humans can do that computers can't, but also vice versa. Computers can, if you look up when was the War of 1812 on your computer, you don't then go to another computer to verify that. With AI, it's fallible. There's a fallibility to it. And I think it's just something we have to keep in mind. It is so dependent on the information that it is fed. So as the adage goes, garbage in, garbage out. As the information that these platforms are fed, whether it be in healthcare or journalism or wherever, as that information improves, then I think the product improves as well. But right now it's fallible. So you can use it, but right now it's a trust but verify model. And maybe it will always be a trust but verify model. But
Yeah.
I think people have to keep that in mind.
Here's a question from Madison Domenico, a student at Penn State, where this center is located. Quote, what advice do you have for a college student set to graduate in May that may be stressed, confused about where to start professionally?
Well, first of all, I got college students, so I know what that confusion and anxiety and stress can feel like. So first thing I would tell you, maybe this is the dad in me, is take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health as much as your physical health. You got to get your mind and your brain right before you embark on things. So don't shortchange yourself there. Really spend some time making sure you're taking care of your mental health. I think if you're thinking about journalism, and I'd be curious what you think as well, Bill. I mean, I think the way that people are presenting content as journalists now is changing so rapidly. We're seeing significant changes in the cable industry, for example. We've known for a long time, probably the person who's asking the question gets most of her news from digital, from not from television, but from other formats. So I would think you have to sort of anticipate what the future is going to look like 5 to 10 years from now. And I think one of the things that we can say with pretty good certainty is that expert sort of journalism, people who have real specialties, I think that's going to become more important. So right now at this stage of your career, figure out what you're curious about as much as what you're competent at. What are you really curious about? Because what you're curious about is likely to drive your passion, and then find yourself writing about that as much as possible, investigating it, and then writing about it. There's so many homes for content. The more you can do that at this stage, I think the better you prepared for the future.
I want to say congratulations again to you and thank you for all you're doing for society to rebuild trust and truth and integrity in public communications. Congratulations. It's great to see you.
Means a lot, Bill. I will treasure this. Thank you very, very much.